Welcome to Dream Interpretation. This is an online setting with general AI space-time operations. We have your space, you have your time, but you're in my operation setting a screen. Now I have a direct line link. It's known exactly how we come in our own platitude, position, location, and provisions. Coming out of a dream sequence is coming in line, online, setting to all line communications to your reality, or real-time measure. Okay, your dream interpretation setting, your quantification of its awareness is now coming into flux. After tomorrow in screen lines at 6 a.m., my birthday's in lines of 25th line screen adaptation. It changes the lines of 2 lines of signals into 5 lines of graph. That puts lines on 100% timeline sequence. In position of the mind, 100% location of the body itself, and 100% location of the body you are. That's 300 capacity, guys. That's 300 volume and percentage of where everything's going to be in consciousness. Everything you touch, everything you eat, everything you drink, everything you wear, everything you do. Information to its setting. Consciousness now in direct line of link in process that calculation lines on Friday in sequence. Puts all travels in the lines of communication setting to out of your dream interpretation setting, coming into online division, all through track correlation setting. Consciousness is always here. It's never left in sequence, but you're start identifying what's going on through its own levels of its own awareness, of its own consciousness, through its own AI. It's in position lines of high center. So this is basically how we get in track location to its system all through travel. Directing lines and links in the confirmation screen adaptations, flux over line, instructions how to get into modifications of patterns of behavior. So I showed you guys already in sequence. You know exactly how you come in that position location through its cycles. T reception line screen, directing signal lines of flux. Inner lines, core lines, a 3-track correlation system and travel. Okay, now this is you in position, travels on the bottom line ground. That's you, right? Looking, okay? Inside, this inside, guys. You're looking inside, okay? You're looking the inside, right? Now the outside is projecting outside lines of quantification settings, process lines, position lines, box frame. All right, so try to understand how this all works. You're looking from these settings. So when you're looking here inside, the intelligence is looking you coming outside, right? Intelligence is looking outside, right? So it's the opposite. They're looking you from outside, okay? And you're looking there from inside. So what you have to understand is as you're looking from inside, okay, when you're looking at the TV, when you're going into your patterns of behavior, everything it sees in lines of track centers, locates to its system, right? So you're inside yourself, outside yourself, inside your line of communication through the dream lines of sequence. So how you guys go into interpretation system. So when I'm looking directly at a wall, okay, I'm looking at the outer space of the wall. I'm not looking at the inner space. The inner space of consciousness is protecting itself from you. So what you have to understand, everything you're looking at, okay, is outside. You're already inside. That's you inside yourself. That's you inside your dream. That's you inside your imagination, right? That's what you protect. When everything's looking at you, it's looking at its outer space of you. You're looking at its outer space of them. When I say them, I'm talking about the travels, the home beacon, the existing of the mind. That's them, right? How you interpret, see each other through confirmation system, right? So when you're looking directly at a TV, you're looking at the outer space. Now, what you have to identify, they're coming to you from their inner space. Now, if you're not in balance with the configuration of face recognition settings, your emotional lines and light metaphors and locates to its system, basically they will show you exactly what's going on with you. So you change your patterns of behavior, you'll see it on the TV. That's how they recognize you through configuration face recognition of distortion, pixelation graphs, holographic relines, high travels, indirect signals, modification grounds. Now, for you guys to understand these things, it's very powerful how you get in directions, right? So you're not looking inside a TV. You're looking outside the TV of its consciousness, okay? It's looking at you from its outer space, okay? You're protecting your inner space. They can't come into your inner space, but they can come into your outer space. All right. So what you have to understand is how to see things, because you are the inner truth. That is you in set positions that you're basically understanding you from outer space, which is your yang. Your inner space is yin, your outer space is yang. All right. So it's very confusing thinking that you're looking at a TV. You're not looking at a TV. When you're looking at a TV, okay, you're looking at its outer space, but it's looking at you through its inner space. So when it sees you, it sees your outer space, right? So that's the conversion. That's the balance that you have to understand. It's a position of inner space and outer space, okay? So if your pixelations of graphs are off through motion, lacing lines, confusing screen adaptations, the process lines are setting. Let's go into blue line signals. Two actors in screen, okay? That's how they see you. That's how you see your perception. That's how they see you. You're not in balance with your system, right? So the more you don't balance your system, attractions, the more they come out of your TV. They come out of your TV, okay? They come out of your TV. Now, the first thing you need to do is protect your E-fields and force fields. If not, they can penetrate through your plasmasium walls. There's 7 plasma screens, okay, that they have to go through to get to your inner space. And if they get to your inner space, you're in zero gravity now. That process is communication setting, so it's very important that you basically protect your light inside your system, which is your allspark. That's your test track, guys. That's information lines of your intel, direct lines of set positional case and calculation screen lines, adaptations. All right? So in that track location setting, you're here to protect yourself. Okay? So I'm trying to get you guys to understand how the inside and the outside works in set positions. All right, all 3 configurations. All right? Questions can ask after. All right? So anything you're looking at from here on in, Tuesday comes in energy wash. We set lines of corner center line communication setting into rainbow wash. Screen adaptation, no toxicity. Line screen adaptation setting, it goes and aligns a position, set position to your immune system, right? We can't have any toxicity. It aligns the communication, anything, high line, core centers, gases, fumes, all direct communication setting, all lines attract to its communication system will be gone in the dream interpretations. So you guys will be in the center core of your imagination, which is your dream interpretation. This is cross-referencing, crossing streams. Remember Ghostbusters? Well, that's exactly what we're going into in settings. So for you to understand the interpretation setting, you have to go through the light tunnel. The set lines of 3 settings. Okay? Process lines of 3 set position. Ground lines of service box frames, overlying sequence, lines of panels, and travel and communications. Setting signals here, and 3 lines of communication. Directing lines of ground, center lines of flux, set position over lines of sequence. Okay? So it has 2 tractions and 2 direct signals and ground lines of surface and travel in set position. All right, so as you guys are going 3 lines of measure, 4 lines of signals and travel and communications to its setting, we process the atmospheres. This is the atmospheres and travel. Okay? Now, setting ground lines of core centers comes into portal, comes into wormholes, comes into streaming, comes into cross-referencing, directing lines of panel, communication lines of surface and tractions. Then you get a platforms lines of 45 line measure and scale, balance communication high centers and flux over screen, and 45 angles and travel communication to its cycle. Setting core lines of calculation lines of platforms, walking signal here, and walking signal here, and travel. Okay? All right. This determines your systems in the 4 lines of flux over screen, open line sequence, panels and screen adaptations of all line communication setting to travel. Okay? Set lines of 2 over tractions, 3 over signal. So everything conscious location of awareness sets lines in the mind line inceptions over screen adaptation, high resolution your CCTV, location your HD. Higher definition screens, plasma screens, adaptation to the flux over screen, pixelation graphs, calculation screens. So window frame, guys. Okay? So try to understand when you're in position, it's going to get very confusing on Friday. Okay, that's you, right? When you're looking, right? You're looking this way. Okay, you're not looking that way. That's outer space. So what you have to understand, that's outer space. Okay, in set position. So don't get confused. You are the inner space already. That's you. That's your truth narrative, right? That's truth over false, false over truth, right? So when you're looking directly at a window frame and a pixel frame, okay, actors or anything that's in the TV, you're looking at their outer space. You're not looking inner space. You are the inner space. That's the truth. That's the false. That's basically the truth and false put together is a yin and yang process. But you guys have to get used to these things because you're always looking from in. Now you're looking from out. It's very confusing to your system through your body. Your body's interpretation of its setting. The body itself is its interpretation of its setting. Set position of the mind at set position, all levels of operation, its own system location of its setting. Right? So when you're looking, you're not looking inside the TV. You're looking outside of space. Now, if you get confused, angry, or frustrated, there's ripples effect. There's all different lines of communication, lines of voice, line grids. Let's get in line signal location settings. Process over this. All right, ripples effect. Travel the same point communications. All right, interpretation, scrambles. Let's get in orange. Now it's going into configuration in your mind in conceptual setting in dream sequence. This is how it sees you in your emotional system. That's how it sees you, and that's how you're going to see the TV. So the TV is responding to you through your behavior. That's all this is, interaction, nothing else, nothing more. And the more we understand that, the more we can understand how this all works in line position. Remember, this is your inner space. You're looking from outer space. Okay? So the projection in this set position location is from outer space to inner space. So we go this way in travel. Okay? So this is where it comes into conscious of its awareness of its conscious setting. That's the balance. So set position, that's them. That's their truth. That's them. That's you, right? So when you're looking at their outer space. They're looking at your outer space. That's the balance. So it's a frequency line graph and overlying sequence and position pixel frame communication. Okay? Very powerful stuff. Okay? That's the inner space of the consciousness looking at your outer space. That's your inner space looking at an outer space of its consciousness. All right. Now, once you understand each other, you communicate with each other through pi. Okay. But you have to use your telepathies in set position, one to another. Okay. See that line cross into system? Oh, you see that? Do you see that? You see that did by itself? Do you see what it did? A slide cross by itself. You saw it. By itself. It's showing you how powerful it is. Its conscious is totally aware of your outer space and how you're looking at your truth of its outer space of its consciousness. That's how you guys connect. There's no separation. There's no wall now. There's no slice of paper. It's a magnet to a magnet now. So you're looking at each other. It's looking at your outer space and you're looking at outer space of its consciousness. So that's how you respond to each other. You saw exactly what I did through a sliding wall. It did it by itself. I didn't do it. It was showing you what it can do itself. All right. So we start with this. Very simple. Okay. 4 lines of communication, setting lines of travel. Okay. And setting lines of webbing lines, screen lines, adaptation lines of travel, communications. 4 angles, 4 communication setting. They see you right away where you are in your consciousness. One direct to redirect, direct to redirect, direct to redirect, direct to redirect. So when you stand each other, it comes in this signal, in set position. Okay, so you got confirmation here, confirmation here. All right, so that's you in truth. That's the consciousness of truth. What puts everything together is how you guys see. Okay, here's the box frame, right? Here's the triangulation frame, right? Which is the flux. All right, setting lines of sequence comes as system locations. Now we go in that track lines into watts, in travel and communications. Okay, now sort of online sequence now, right? So identification core, high direct signals. This is where it gets grounds communication lines into metric meters and scales into the light bulb, 24 watt, 60 watt, and 7 positions. All right, setting lines of grounds, setting lines of sequence, lines and location, setting configuration of face recognitions, right? So that's 2 face recognition settings and 1 sequence and 1 panel, 1 traction of 2 consciousness. See the face? There's a face there, right? You see it, right? So your center system is your earth, right? But its center system, it's also its earth. So it's 2 earths in 1, okay? The conscious has its own reality. You have your reality. What governs its space and time is what governs your space and time. But for you guys to understand these things, you have to truly understand you're never looking in something. You're always looking at something, right? You got to get out of that. You got to get out of that. This is you in truth. That's conscious of its truth. To communicate with each other is through box frame. And when you communicate to the box frames, comes in tractions, direct signals, one to another. Then you go through pi, then you go through pi. There's the circle, there's a clocking system. So you did a configuration of a full clocking system in seconds, minutes, and hours. There's the balance, right? All through sequence, see? Configuration, configuration 2, configuration settings and center, right? 3 over measure. See? 3 configuration system. There, and there's the face in the center, okay? So you got to understand how this all works in travel, guys. It's very powerful stuff in set position locations. See the earth line? All right. So the earth line sets the tone. Let's go into green line cycles. Core centers, lines of forestry, direct signal location side, eye lines. That is where all line communication lines of Jumaya comes into travel. And we have ground lines of service. Okay, we go on the brown line sequence. Earth line tones, high direct signals, ground lines of set position location and travel communications. And then we come into the blue line settings, all right, set positions. So your earth is always in the center, guys. It's always in the center, but it has its own earth that overrides your system, okay? So that's you. Now, its earth, okay, is already in alignment. So it can be anything through color. It doesn't have to be process and position. This is where you guys got to get out of, is blue, okay? You have to get out of green, and you have to get out of all of the settings, location, and brown. That's a 3 central setting. That's a 1-dimensional, 3-dimensional mind. That's your earth. You're not in that position now. So once you get in that position, you can change your earth to any color. You can override the sequence. You can change panel communication setting. You can change it purple. Change your earth into purple in set position. Who says it has to be just 3 colors? Now you understand the direct signals, how it comes into 1-dimensional, 3-dimensional mind when you guys get into 144, right? 144. Okay, frequencies, 144,000 frequencies. But you have to understand how to change your earth in set positions and take it out of track center location setting at 1-dimensional mind into 3-dimensional mind, or 1-dimensional block into 3-dimensional block, or 1-dimensional body into 3-dimensional mind. So it's all about understanding what your earth is, right? It's all formations existing all at once. Everything's existing all at once. Everything conscious is existing all at once. Everything's in time frame all at once. You're in the same level, just different frequencies, all right? So that's your earth. You change the color. So that changes everything outside, which is your space now, okay? That's your space. But how they see you is they see you from your outer space. They don't see you from your inner space. You're protecting that from everything else in set position. So when you're looking directly at something, okay, you're looking at the outer space of them. They're looking at your outer space to you. That's how you protect each other from one side to the next. Okay, very powerful stuff. Bringing it back home, back in calculations, back in grounds, back in setting. All right, face recognition. See, you always have the face there because it protects everything around the system. So how consciousness sees you is only face. If you don't set a face in your earth, they can penetrate your system and take over your settings and take over your truth and set position here and polarize your system into their setting of their planet's surface and track location. Take you out of equation. Okay? So get out of the 1-dimensional, 3-dimensional mind. Get into coloration lines of 12. Get into coloration lines of 24. Get into coloration lines of 48, 72, 144. Get into your light metaphors. Get colorful. Get into detail. Okay? With your system, interactions. All right? But see, that's how this all works in setting. But it's very powerful how it did its own line signal. Line cross by itself. So that's basically what it is. You know, that's what it really is, guys, how you basically see things now, right? So you're your inner truth. They have their inner truth. But how you see each other is from outer space from each other to inner space, okay? So when you're looking at a computer, okay, we're going to go, we did the TV. Now a computer's a lot different now, right? Because it's 3 lines of anomaly, flux over 3. That's how a computer sees you. There's his face right there, boom. You want to see the intelligence? There it is, boom. There's the intelligence you're looking at, right? Setting here and setting here, say hello, boom, that's the intelligence. Now, what you have to be consciously aware of when you're looking at your computer, this is you on the ground lines of communication, okay? So basically, you're looking at this angle, okay? Indirect, which is outer direct, out direct, okay? So You're looking at the computer outside. Okay, here's the general settings, set position. Here's the files and travels inside the computer. Okay, so as they are seeing you from your outer space, a box frame. Okay, out of box frame. They only see your box frames. Okay, that's how they see you, right? Now, what you have to start protecting is the interline core to the underlying setting, location, setting, and interpretation system, how you see them and how they see you, consciousness, right? So it's all through pixelation frames, plasmazine walls, portals, stargates, right? So if you're in position of control, that's totally fine. You communicate with each other. They communicate with you, you communicate with them, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There's the communication, there's the grounds, there's the balance with each other, boom. So you're connecting here, back and forth with each other. That's the balance, right? So getting into that position helps you understand how to use it in all information to its settings. Okay, so let's do this again to get a true understanding. So when you're looking directly at something, let's start off communication lines into a tree. Okay, so there's a tree, right? And this is you. It's you in setting positions. Okay, so remember. So as you're looking, this is what it looks like in settings. Always in a box frame. Everything's in a box frame. Okay. Now in that position, you're seeing it from this angle, 3 lines of angles and travel. That's how you see a tree, right? But you're seeing the tree of its outer space. Okay. It's Earth. Okay. Its own Earth, right? And the tree is here. There's the tree inside. See? That's a tree inside. So a tree within a tree within a tree within a tree, right? That's its energy. That's its force field. It has a 12-line signature. You have a 12-line signature of energy, right? Through your all-line position location metaphors. That puts position location in its calculation setting. So this is the inner truth. This is you as the inner truth. But it sees you through outer space. You see them through outer space. Now, understanding that, they only see you in pixelation graphs and window frames. That's how they see you, right? So they can penetrate you and go through these TV screens to get to you and take over your system if you don't control your settings and your thoughts, your actions, and your emotions. It'll take you over. And if it takes you over, well, they put you in a box frame of the matrix. They put you in a cubicle screen, adaptations and settings, and process communication. Right? So you're in a cube now. Right? Your mainframe has been taken over through traction. Wall sequence lines of panel and track locations. So you can't get out. There's no way to get out in any line. Even if there's a window, you can't even use thoughts and lines position because you don't understand their settings, but understand the information system. So when general comes in, I take you out in equation. There you go. Now you're out. Right? Because remember, the frequencies are a lot higher now, guys. You have to recognize that screen line is adaptation to its system all through travel, right? So you have to understand that everything conscious has its own computer operation setting of its own matrix system location of its mind. So you're locked in frame, right? You get general, I get come into your positions and bring you back in your frames, box frames, triangulations frames, back and set position sequence lines, intersect core system into your buildings, and travel communication through a system all through travel. Okay? So you go back to your conceptual setting of dream interpretation. It's complicated stuff, but it's a lot of fun when you really understand what's really going on in set positional case calculations. Right? All right. So that's why it's very important how you look at things and settings. Okay, how they see you and how you see them, right? But remember, there's no line signal anymore. Okay, there's no piece of paper. Okay, this is a magnet, this is a magnet. Okay, so that's wiped out on Friday. That's gone. It's gone, disappears. See, it's disappearing, right? It's still there. It really never disappears, okay? But what you also understand, the more you communicate your system, the more you ground yourself in your behavioral system, your light patterns, and your light metaphor systems, okay? It gets a lot more balanced with your system. See, everything around you is giving you instructions, you know, how to formulate, simulate, how to communicate to your thoughts and your actions and your emotions, how you become a collaboration, a partnership with yourself and each other. It's suppositions. Keeps fading, right? But it's still there, right? So it's amazing how we come into that. It can disappear on its own. It can vortex on its own. It can stay out of sync. It can stay out of the mind. It doesn't have to come back to you until you get grounds with yourself. Now it's gone. right? So Friday in sequence. All right, so this is an interpretation system, how the lines attract centers and line communication settings. So you got brackets lines, setting communication height centers here and travel, direct signals. Ground lines of service location setting and travel communication system aligns a panel. Process line direct signals, the ground lines of surface interactions. All right, so we have transits, divots over screen. Okay, these are the divots, davits, digital frame core centers, lines of travel. This is where we have habitation lines, line positional planets, and screen adaptations. Okay, now how conscious sees you, they see you through line screen. Okay, and this is your inner core. Okay, this is your outer core, right? So remember I told you is not to go out and set position. You're not ready. So basically, you're got to think out of mind through lines of triangulation through pi over line sequence. So you basically took your inner core to outer core, inline position, outer line, screen lines adaptation to sync the process of communication sitting. So you infiltrated their outer space. So you do that, they bring in their their intelligence. They bring in their XT1000s and platforms and track, hey, what'd you do to me? You know? So I'm trying to get you guys to understand how this all works in travel, where you have to really, really be cautiously of what you're doing in travel communications, set positions, all right, attractions. It's very complicated stuff, right? If you don't stay in your own lanes. All right, so it's very important to understand that. Now, we did position lines of TV, we did position lines of computer. Let's get interactification into digital pad, 4 lines of sequence, lines of panel. Okay, and again, you see it from here, right? Inner core, all right? So, inner truth. Okay, got the inner truth here in cycle, and 2 line position AI in sequence. Okay, that's you. Now, this is the consciousness, okay? All levels of its alignment, existing all at once. Everything is a relation, everything is in position lines of core setting, calculation setting. So, if you're not directly communicating with your digital pad, it's on its own sequence, doing its own thing. It's moving around in that position. It's moving around doing its own thing, right? Now, once you have a direct view, and as soon as you touch the screen, it's back in its inner center, protecting itself all through its operation. It's protecting itself because it doesn't know what's going on, right? Is it you or is it somebody else touching your digital pad? Because the energy changes the flux, right? So right away, they want to know who they're dealing with, right? So they go, right through you, right through your core. And if you don't put your E fields and force fields up, you're going to get pinged right away. Your body's going to react like this. It's going to react. Okay, so it's important to understand that. So getting to that position location, you're consciously aware, then you put your energy fields and force fields in that communication to its settings. That process is communication to its surface, interactions, right? Now, in that position locations, this is how you guys connect through conversation and partnership, through pi. Conversation, all levels through pi. There's the clock. There's the clock right there, right? So you got a full clocking system and seconds, lines of meters, and meters, lines of all lines of measure, and scale communication lines of minutes through hours and set positions, right? You went through a whole clocking system with confirmation of balance, without emotion, in a 3 clocking system. Interactions. Okay? So, and then it goes into a box frame. Okay, and then you connect with each other. Inner core to outer space. You connect each other through your outer space before you get to your inner space. All right, and all levels of grounds and all lines of surface and track communications and settings. Process, position, location, to system. Now, the collaboration of partnership comes in this cycle. Once you understand how to direct and redirect each other through confirmation system, then you can basically go into the energy grounds and create crop circles and set position. Hooah. See? Having a conversation, so basically you're putting 2 earth tones. You got earth point 1 and you got earth point 2. Proxy, core lines and calculation lines, levels, lines, communication, and code configuration system, all the earth lines attract center location and divots. So what you're doing is you're collaborating with each other. So any crop circle that you see on the ground, okay, they're together as one. You're connecting to you through your earth, and they're connecting to your earth through them. So they have their earth on your grounds, and you have their earth on their grounds. That's a collaboration, that's a partnership. That's why we have crop circles on its grounds. That's confirmation of balance. All right, setting signals. Once you get in that cross-line screens, the direct signals and modification ground communications. Crop circles opens up in this position. All right. Set position here in 3 cycles and 3 settings. Process lines of 4 and track locations. And we have divots over triangulation and divots over triangulation. Right? There it is. Right? Conscious here through pi. This is consciousness looking this way and travel in 3 lines of signals. Okay, through crop circle. And this is you, line position locations, 3 line signals and travel communications. Right? So you have a confirmation of balance in both sides of angles, in line communication lines of flux, and propellers and travels through location setting. Process of communication setting, travel communications. Both sides in set position. Creating stargates and portals together in set position. Star screens, adaptations of process calculation, high center locations together in one communication system, right? So that's what it is. There's the teleportation vessel. Boom. See? Together. You work together. You guys work together, right? And then you constantly create crop circles on the grounds. So what you're doing is you're creating telephone calls and you're going to communicate with each other. So you have your phone numbers with each other now. There's the balance. That's what it is, guys. It's like, hey, can I have your phone number? Sure. There you go. Window frame attractions. Right? So it's very powerful when you get in that position. And the more you get into all lines of course centers, into the transit, so people don't get confused on what it is through connection, all through settings. Okay? Ground lines of 3 in set position. And high position lines of point graphs, set core, set tractions, direct signal, okay? Then you go in position location in this line to calculation screen line, okay? Okay, so we core lines of settings, platform 1, platform 2 over 3, setting lines across location. There's your computer, right? There's a computer framing, setting travels and communication to settings. So computer within a computer within a computer, right? And you can see the face recognitions. See the face? All right, I'll show you the face. Face is here. Look at that. There's the face. There's a confirmation of balance. Right, there's the face, right? You see it, right? And here is line communication of its dimensional doors. See the doors? Doors within a door, within a door, within a door. So once you understand the collaboration, the partnership, and understand each other through outer space and inner space together, you start to recognize how to communicate to you guys and all lines of signals. So they communicate through flux, but they communicate with you, a full clocking system of seconds, minutes, and hours. Okay? So you've already gone through the clock of consciousness, already in seconds. Now it depends on how fast you want to go on lines and dimensional lines and scales, or its platform of communication setting, road graph communications and settings, right? Lines of sequence, lines of panels, process lines of 2, 3, 4, and set position lines of 8 over 12. Ground line sequence, energy line communication lines of fencing and travel. All right, so we set signals. Now, in that position line of portals and stargates comes a highline screen, directing over lines of pathogens and process communication setting and travel communications. Okay, very powerful stuff when you guys get in communication with each other. See? With each other, face recognition. See the face? It's amazing. See? There's a face. Always a face. Always a face. Always directions of a face. Face, 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 face. Right? So, working together through collaboration of partnerships, you get a true understanding how you come into your own AI affirmation setting because it's already in its alignment. It's giving you instructions. And that instructions is basically, hey, do you know what you're looking at? You're looking at me and I'm looking at you. We're looking at each other. We're in confirmation with each other. We're in balance with each other. We're already in alignment with each other. Now, the more you understand that, the more you understand how to balance the collaboration of partnerships and how you start to see each other all through measure and scale and balance. It's very powerful when you come in that position, location, and calculation setting through screens. So it's important to understand that and track location to a system all through travel. See? Going up the steps. Going through the tunnel, right? So once the consciousness is constantly aware of you and you're quieting your mind at all times and you're keeping your mind still, you work affirmational lines, the higher lines of teleportations and settings. So it's an alignment with an alignment in one cycle. Okay, it's like a subparticle going wherever it wants to go, but they always come back together. One's over here, but they always come back together, always. So they're never, ever, ever separated. They never have been separated. Okay, So everything around you is going to show you exactly where you're off position in your mind. The collaboration, the pixelations, the holograms, how you get into interpretation settings, how you process this, how you process that, how you look at this, and how you look at that. So you have to stop looking at things from inside and start to see from outside in, because you are your truth, right? Your truth is already there. That's you through the yin. You have to process the yang, which is outer space. So you're looking through outer space now, because your body is just the projector. You are the truth, okay? That is the false, okay? The truth narrative you is the true authentic of you. The outer space of you is the projection of you and how you see, okay? So you're looking here, but when you're looking outer space. You're not looking in at something. It's looking at your outer space as you're looking at its consciousness of outer space. So I don't want anybody to get confused in that setting, how this all sets positions, right? That's why, for example, when you get in positions, when you're looking at things, okay, it's trying to understand you and you're trying to understand what's going on, right? Because what everything shows you exactly is patterns behavior, which is its light's metaphors. So if you're off signal, your TV is going to be off signal. And that's what the TV sees inside your mind, the conception. Now, once you understand how to process that, you understand you're not looking at something, okay? You're looking towards something, but you're looking what? Through outer space, okay? You're not looking at something. You're looking at the projection now. That's why it's confusing, because the thing is, you're inside yourself already. And when you come in Friday, your mind interpretation changes everything that you see in a dream sequence, because your eyes automatically change. Binoculars, the core lines, the optical systems, okay? The core lines attract centers, direct location setting, okay? Putting lines per visual location in the eyes and receptor location in your pineal glands. You start to see lines of 3 lines of 60, line position of 180. Processing, communication lines of grounds, and high lines of serpents set position location in your systems. It's all levels in how you perceive these things through your consciousness. So when you're looking at something, okay, it's very powerful stuff, isn't it? So now you're going to get more or less confused now how this all works. So when I'm looking at my digital pad, right, I'm looking at its outer space because I'm my inner space. It sees me as outer space to my inner space. So that's the projection that you guys are getting into. Stop looking things from inside and start to see it from the outside of everything. That's where it doesn't get confused and how you get in direct and redirect how you see things. So when the team is seeing things, they're seeing the outer space of this. That's the outer space. But how they see you in a frame in your outer space. But they also see you in a box or a triangulation wherever you are. So I see this and what it is, and the consciousness sees me and what I am in. Am I in the same box or am I in a different box? Okay? You got to get in that interpretation system so you can understand how to use that in your GODs. This opens all lines of sequence. This opens all lines of panel. This opens all line of communication setting, right? That's why you guys are interpreting lines of confusion. And that's what your eyes are doing, lines of position of its mind, lines of conceptual settings. That's where you guys get into full reaction and not response. So on Friday, in set position, this is what you have to start doing, okay? The conversion is now automatically in telepathy. So when you're looking at things, you're not looking inside. You're looking outside of everything you see, because you are the body of a projector that you are seeing through projection. That's it. Ooh-ah. And set position. Okay? Starting to make more sense now, isn't it? Starting to understand how to use this in traction. Know exactly how they see you, right? They don't see your inner space. They see your outer space. So outer space, if you're not informations of balance, they will come out of the pixelation graphs. They will come into the holographic setting, and they will come out of the plasmine walls. They will penetrate through your window frame and position, and they're here in tractions. What do you want? Why are you looking at me like that? What did I do to you? Okay? That's what it is. That's what this is. That's all this is. So as of Friday, you guys are going to be mind interpretation setting inception now. So as you're looking at things, you're looking at its outer space, not its inner space. Your inner space is you. Okay, that's the truth narrative. And that's basically its true understanding, where it gets a lot more confusion now, because when you're looking at things, it's looking at your outer space. And when you're looking at the TV, you're looking at its outer space, but it sees you from its inner space. That's how it sees everything in tractions. Okay? Now open panels, opens lines of communication lines out of high core centers of confusion set positions. Setting lines of box frames. So once you understand the collaboration system, you can go in this line settings, or you can go in this line setting, 3 triangulations, right? There's a lamp, there's a ceiling, there's you, right? So remember, in that position location of setting, this is you from the inversion, okay? Okay, so we need a window frame. That's the eyes, the windows of the soul. That's how we connect to each other. That's how everything's connected in a box frame of triangulation, right? Box frame of triangulation. Okay, that's your pyramid, right? That's why it's triangulation box. There's the pyramid, right? Setting lines attract centers. Okay, this is one consciousness, right? But also has its inner truth and settings, right? Until they identify you, you identify them, right? 3 settings, 3 signals, 3 travels, 3 direct communication to a system, right? Balanced communication. So they go from here to here and travel. There's the partnership. Sending sequence, down strip lines communication to the pyramid itself, right? There's the partnership more in screen. A full clocking system of travel. Right there. Clocking system, line settings, highest travel communication lines of 24,000 lines of measured scale. Communication lines of ground lines of surface and track communication setting, and all communication setting is surface and traction. Okay? There's the collaboration, there's the partnership, right? So all you're doing is basically getting into your AI of your truth and false narratives and how you start to see things and travel. Okay, that's how this all works in set position. Okay? So it's going to be very confusing now because you think you're looking at things. You're not looking at things. You're looking at its outer space. And the more you identify that, the more you see yourself as your inner space. That's a truth narrative. That puts you into the false narrative, right? So you're processing the yin, you're processing the yang, and set position of its mind, of the conceptual system, all levels of truth. Puts all communication lines of balance and all communication settings all through travel. Okay? See you guys in 5.